Michael Berge with Digiday back here at the Digiday studios at Possible on day one. And I'm very happy to have with me Chris Vollmer, who's Managing Director of MediaLink and a partner at UTA, if I'm not correct.
That's right. Hey, thank you for having me.
Oh, great to have you. Thanks for spending a few minutes with us. I'd like to start with kind of, you're in a very interesting vantage point, given all the things that MediaLink touches and UTA touches. What are your thoughts on the economic uncertainty that has kind of settled on the marketplace right now? Do you see it translating into action or inaction? And then I'd like to ask you a little later about kind of how that affects M&A. But
Sure. Well, thank you for starting there. I think it's
I start with the softballs. So
yeah the one that's on everybody's mind. I think right now it's a period where people are taking a hard look at everything.
yeah,
And in a time when they feel like maybe their profitability or their supply chain or maybe their costs might be something that they can control, when there's a lot of things that they can't control.
yeah,
Almost everyone I'm talking to is taking a look at what are the levers they have to pull if things get tougher. So I would say there's a lot more attention on costs of different kinds.
any examples of that, or some of those levers?
Well, I would say,
Is it like travel budgets and like the stuff that's easy to cut before they actually cut into the bone of marketing?
Yeah, I would say there's a variety of variable costs associated with people and with some expenses
Yeah,
associated with businesses that are more short-term.
yeah,
So I think that's the thing that anybody's having a conversation with the CFO about is, how quickly, if we need to, can we take costs out? If tariffs are imposed, that could affect companies that have earnings all over the world.
yeah,
And if that's the case where, the dollar's in a certain situation where it's devaluing and all of a sudden
and quickly.
projections of revenues aren't worth the same, the only way they can meet their commitments
Yeah.
to Wall Street especially is by performing on the cost side. And that's when you would see them do things like not hiring or reducing staff or thinking about outside vendors of different kinds, potentially including advertising and travel and all
Yeah,
down the line.
and all that. Okay. So, given what MediaLink does, how does that going to affect the way you see the M&A market? Are we going to see things heat up with companies that suddenly get nervous about staying in a business and thinking about maybe this is my time to cash out? Or are we going to see that activity kind of drop because people want to hold on to their money?
Yeah, so a couple thoughts on that. One is we started, if you rewind the clock a little bit to where we were when the election happened and was over.
Yep.
There was a lot of anticipation that the M&A market would be
red hot.
red hot.
Yeah.
Lots of dry powder on the sideline, lots of willingness to approve things that maybe wasn't there before. I think if you look at where we are since Jan 1, it's been a very disappointing M&A market, even before the most recent series of on and off again, on again,
Yeah.
tariff speculation.
Yeah.
So, I think already the M&A market has been impacted by uncertainty. And anytime you want to do something big like an acquisition, it typically requires a lot of certainty on behalf of the buyers,
Yeah.
especially around future valuation. And I think that's what's missing right now.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that the M&A market, though, grinds to a halt. There's still deals getting done. And I would say that those are in areas that are perceived as kind of safe harbors, even amidst the disruption caused by the tariffs.
Right.
So examples would be things like sports. Sports in different shapes and forms continues to be a very attractive deals market.
Oh, yeah. It's even been very attractive as an ad option with more and more sports being factored into upfront
100%.
negotiations. So, yeah.
100%. And everything from franchises to companies that connect to sports-related real estate or sports-related technology, all these things are still regarded as incredibly sound, sort of safe harbor type investments. I think there are similar ones in areas like the creator space. I think that's another one that we'll be hearing, I'm sure, more about that here at Possible and all the way through to the upfronts around how creators in different shapes and forms are featuring more prominently in the plans and properties of major media companies.
Yep.
So that's another. And then I think, more driven by strategics, there's been activity in ad tech in different ways throughout this period too. And that might be one where the disruptions related to tariffs gets a new equilibrium around valuation, and sellers and buyers are maybe more quickly ready to come together. Some of these businesses have been part of private equity portfolios for quite some period, and they're looking to turn those over as well. So I think those three areas, even in an overall challenged deal market, could still be very interesting.
Okay.
So just keep an eye on.
That's a really, really great perspective, those three areas. The prior guest was a gentleman from influencer.com who vowed he wanted to remain independent and not get acquired by a holding company, as we saw with Influential by Publicis.
Right, one of the bigger deals.
Yeah. So interesting that some still want to maintain independence. Is it possible to maintain independence in an uncertain economy? Or do you have to just take a good deal if it comes your way?
Well, I think that's. I'll try to give a simple answer to a complicated question.
I know it's very loaded. I'm sorry,
but I think that's all about where you are in the maturity cycle and where you are in terms of maturation as a business.
Yeah.
I think that if you're aligned to some of these larger structural trends that aren't subject to the whims of tariffs and other kinds of, call it short-term disruptions, you probably have more flexibility. If you're not associated with one of these safe harbors, and you're not yet on a proven track record towards a viable business model, you might have to accept a lower valuation. It may be time to think about how attractive an exit can you get right now. I do think anytime there's disruption, there are buyers out there who are looking for opportunity. That's always true.
Sure.
So if the fundamentals are there and you can build on your story, the timing may be right to unlock value in the form of an exit.
Excellent. Well, we'll see how the rest of the year shakes out.
Indeed.
It's certainly a lot of questions more than answers, but
yeah, we hope people take answers back with them from possible, as opposed to more questions.
Well, thank you for providing some good answers today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Cheers, Chris.
Thanks.
Chris Vollmer with MediaLink and UTA.